It's August 19th, 2024. It's my pleasure to be with Mr. John J. Jeckovich, and we're reading his book, Their Mother's Sons, and it's approximately 900 pages, and it goes from him as a young boy to retirement and many phases in between. Do you have your dog tag number, Mr. Jeckovich?
4202965.
Okay, that's the passcode to get started. Today we're in Studio 7C, and we're going to start on Chapter 14, which is titled Patrols on the Rhine, VE Day.
15.
Chapter 15, I'm sorry. We're on page 440. As I mentioned, there's 900 pages in the book. And this is when Mr. Jeckovich, highly decorated World War II veteran, 2 Bronze Stars, Purple Heart.
Oh, come on, Dave, come on.
Purple Heart, yes. Did you receive the Purple Heart, Mr. Jeckovich?
Yep.
2 Bronze Stars?
No.
What was this, 2 Bronze Stars?
Yeah.
2 Bronze Stars. And this is when Mr. Jeckovich has just left the hospitals in Paris, and he's sent back to the front line of the Battle of the Bulge. And what he's basically been doing for the last 2 weeks is doing reconnaissance missions that leave about midnight. They cross the Rhine and then find out where the German soldiers were, and if they had a listening post or any other information, and then they bring it back to the lieutenants or the commanders so they could deal with it directly. Now, you're looking well today. Are you chipper? You look
Chipper, yeah, chipper.
You look nice with your new clothes on.
New clothes.
I got several text messages. Do you feel up to answering them? Do you feel up to answering text messages right now?
Go ahead.
You feel up to it?
Yeah.
Okay, they're basic ones. I glanced through them, but most of the ones on longevity we'll put aside to another time because I answer them. But the first thing that they wanted to know was where did you grow up and what type of life did you have as a child?
Niagara Falls, New York.
And what type of life did you have as a child?
Had a normal life.
Okay.
Had good parents.
Okay.
Good parents.
Where was your mother from?
My mother was born here, but her grandparents came from Poland and Russia.
And where was your father born?
Russia.
What city or town in Russia?
Vladivostok.
Yeah, that's probably the coldest town in Russia.
Way up north.
Probably the coldest town in Russia.
Yeah, way up north, yeah.
Where they work the young men to death, and it's mostly factories.
Yeah.
And they work non-stops. They're very hard workers. So when your father started working in the United States, was he a hard worker here also?
Oh, yeah. He had the same culture here, yeah.
He didn't slow down?
No.
What type of work did your father do in the United States?
He was a mason in Carbornum.
And then did you do side jobs with him?
All the time.
And then what about your mother? What type of work did she do?
She was a housekeeper, and then she was a cook for Dr. Bride. And she was, then she finally worked at Carbornum too, small wheels inspector.
And how long did your mother work at Carbornum for?
I would say about 20 years.
Wasn't it a fact that they had to kind of force her out because she wouldn't quit? She was working so long.
She was over age then, and the young woman said, you gotta get her out of here. We want to make a living too.
That was a hard-working lady, wasn't it? Was your mother a religious person?
Oh, yeah.
And what religion was she?
She kneel on her every night, say her prayer, say the rosary, and kneel down in front of her bed.
So your mother was a Roman Catholic.
Right.
Was your father a religious person?
To an extent, not like my mother.
Not like your mother. Your mother was a devout Catholic, I take it. Did what age did your mother live to?
89.
What age did your father live to?
43.
And what happened to your father?
Had a heart attack. I was with him when he had it.
And he overworked, right?
Yeah, overworked, yeah.
Overworked.
What he's doing cement work is mixes by hand. That's the hardest damn thing to do.
He overworked.
Yeah.
He overworked. And so, how did his death go? How did you, what did you have to do to tell your mother about his death, and how did you go to the morgue? How did you get to the morgue?
Police called me up and said, "I'm going to take your father got hurt." So I figured my father got hurt doing something. So I thought I'd be going to the hospital. I went down to the morgue.
And what happened? What did you see there?
Then the police said, we'll go through his pockets, see what he's got.
And what did you find in his pockets?
I found a Prince Albert can, so slips, wrap it up in, found a quarter, 2 quarters, a dime, and a nickel.
Prince Albert was a tobacco blend.
Yeah.
And did your father roll the cigarettes himself?
Yeah.
Was your father a heavy smoker?
No, three a day, I would say, which is probably heavy for me. I don't smoke.
Was your father allowed to smoke in the house?
No.
Was your father a drinker?
No.
No. What did your mother say about your father smoking?
Well, she didn't like it. He didn't do much smoking. No, he didn't do
But he
much.
wasn't allowed in the house.
No. She kept after him, so he cut it way down. Cut it way down.
Cut it way down. Did you speak Russian in the house?
What? No, and we said, my father said, we're American, we're going to speak English. No foreign language in here. And that was next door, the Blitzky they spoke Polak. He comes to work, stupid accent.
So in your neighborhood, there was a great concentration of Polish people, and many of the families spoke Polish in their houses, and as a result, they had an accent, a deep accent. Was there a lot of Italians in your neighborhood?
Right.
Italians?
Well, Italians were there too. It was a mixed neighborhood. It was a mixed neighborhood.
Mixed neighborhood. Was it like Polish on one side, Italians?
No, they were scattered. Polak here, Italian over here, all there.
Did the Italians and Polish get along?
Well, the ones that were here, yeah, they worked together because they're hard workers and they had the same attitude.
So, very hard workers. Did you remember your first jobs you had as a boy?
As a boy, paper boy.
And what kind of newspaper did you deliver, Mr. Jeckovich?
Dziennik Lasicki. That's a Polak paper.
A Polak paper. And then how many did you have to deliver to?
I delivered 50.
And was that 7 days a week?
7 days a week, and Sunday, including Sunday, yeah.
Was Sunday a big, heavy paper?
Well, bigger than a normal weekly paper, yeah.
And your customers were 100% Polish, correct?
No, they weren't. They were mixed. They were mixed. Italians and people. The Polak paper would come out English too.
Oh, you had both versions.
Yeah.
Did you deliver that paper to your mother?
Do I?
Did you deliver that newspaper to your mother?
Well, I dropped it on the porch, yeah.
And what, did she read it often, or would she mostly see like...
My mother read the obituaries all the time, that was it.
Oh, she wanted to, yeah. There was an interesting fact about your mother, that at the gravestone of your father, Marion Jeckovich, it showed the date he was born and the date he died. And like all gravestones, they put the wife's name there. They put Anna Jeckovich, and they put the year that she was born, and no death because she was alive at the time.
Yeah.
And your mother had some masking tape, and she taped over the year she was born.
Yeah.
Does that sound like your mom?
She was like that. She was like that.
That sounds like your mother.
Yeah.
She didn't want no one to think she was old.
Yeah.
That was a funny story.
Yeah.
And did you live in the same house all these years?
Let's see. We started up on 13th Street. Then we moved on Orleans Avenue. No, my father bought that house, $36,000, and we lived there for a long time.
What was the house on 13th Street like?
It was an apartment building.
And how was that?
We were on the second floor, and next door was a stupid tavern.
Did you
You
smell?
could smell the beer all the time.
You smelled the tap of the beer, and you smelled the
you
cigarettes
smell
all the time?
Yeah.
Was there a lot of drunks coming out of that bar?
Drugs?
Drunks. People that drank too much.
Well, I don't know. When they got drunk, they got somebody to hold them up and take them home.
But did you actually see that as a boy?
That they were drunk?
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't see
that?
much. I didn't see much.
The only thing you recall was the smell.
Just the smell, yeah.
Did you go to the Polish Nook when you were a boy?
Yeah.
And then didn't you have your mother's funeral reception at the Polish Nook?
That was after the funeral, yeah.
That's amazing. And so you moved to 13th Street, and then you moved to 3063 Orleans Avenue.
Yeah, my father bought that house, yeah.
Could you describe the house?
It was a two-family house, which was good because he could have boarders and get an income coming in to pay the mortgage.
And what type of heat was it?
Central.
Okay. And what type of boarders? You remember the boarders or the tenants you had?
My mother wanted nurses all the time.
Okay. And did you have nurses?
We had nurses all the time.
Do you remember their names?
Elizabeth, Genevieve, Hilda, Catherine, Marion,
Do you remember their last names?
No.
Did the Amendolas live there?
What?
The Amendolas live there? Amendola family?
Amendola lived downstairs for a while.
Were they good tenants?
Yeah, but he didn't stay long, he bought a house.
How about, do you remember any other tenants there?
Well, Horb was there.
Where did Mr. Horb go?
He went across the street, bought a house.
Did he work with you?
No.
Was he a good tenant?
Yeah, well, he was a quiet guy.
No, was he single?
Huh?
Was he single?
No, he's married.
And then how many years did you stay in that house?
How many years I stayed in that house?
Yeah.
Till I went to service. When I got drafted.
Getting back to your first job, as you said you were a paper boy, what else did you do as a boy?
Well, I worked with my father probably most of the time.
Was that every night?
Yeah, and then I did some wallpapering, and I did some odd jobs in the neighborhood.
Like what kind of odd jobs?
Electrical, mechanical, everything else.
What other odd jobs? What other jobs did you have before you got drafted?
Did what?
Before you got drafted, what other type of jobs did you have?
I worked for Kimberly-Clark.
No, before you got drafted. Did you work at a movie theater?
I was an usher, yeah, I was an usher for a while.
Tell us about that.
Well, I didn't like the job. Why Especially
not?
a Saturday morning, the kids got a bright movie and they piss on the floor and they share Mr. What's there with anything. John, go and clean that up. It smells the whole place up.
Okay, so let me try to understand. During a scary movie, the little kids would piss on the floor.
Yeah, well, the cereal, they picked the cereal up, and then my mother went Tuesday. I worked with her for a dish.
What do you mean by a dish?
At the theater.
So your mother would go to the movie theaters on Tuesday because they would receive a dish that she would put in her collection.
Yeah.
And did she use those dishes in her kitchen for many years?
Oh, yeah.
Did she get silverware that way also?
No silver, just the dishes.
Did your father go to the movies with her when she was alive?
No, I don't think so, no.
He was too busy working.
No, I usually went with her, or when Sally got older, Sally went with her.
I said, but your father wasn't interested.
No, he didn't go to the movies much.
Did you remember anything your father would do for recreation besides work?
Well, he did work in the house. Repair this, do this, do that.
And that was his hobbies then, right?
Yeah.
That was his hobbies, right?
Yeah.
Was your father in World War I?
No.
Did you know anyone in World War I?
What?
Did you know anybody in World War I?
No.
No? Did you have any brothers or sisters?
I had 2 brothers and 1 sister.
What could you tell us about them?
Well, Sally was hooked up with, Sally was a good girl. All the kids were good. They didn't get in trouble, they didn't drink, they didn't get dope or nothing else.
No problem
They didn't get
at
in
all.
gangs or nothing, no.
And so, did your two brothers get drafted?
No, Lucky enlisted in the Coast Guard, and Stevie got an exempt because he's in school. And then when they finally grabbed him, they got him to teach in Maryland, teach recruits how to drive a Jeep.
Okay, okay. You were the only one that got drafted.
Yeah.
Why did you not enlist?
Huh?
Why did you not enlist? Why did you not enlist?
Why I didn't enlist?
Yeah.
I had to depend on my mother. I had to depend on my mother. My mother was, if I left, she'd be alone.
So you waited till you got drafted so you could spend the most amount of time caring for your mother?
So it wouldn't be my move, it would be their move.
You would have to, you did not enlist so you could stretch it out as long as possible to care for your mother. That's a good point. That's an interesting point. Someone asked that, if you got enlisted or drafted, and now we know that you waited to get drafted so you could stay the longest period of time.
Stay with my mother, because I figured when I go there, and they'll be over there.
No one for her.
When the Sally was getting a little old, Sally was depending on her too.
So your sister was there. And then after that, you're in World War II, primarily the Battle of Bulge. We talked many things about the Battle of Bulge, about you getting shot by a sniper and shrapnel still in your leg. But when you got out of the service, how did the whole world look to you from coming from hard combat situations to going back to Niagara Falls? Everything was pretty nice.
I picked up where I left off. I didn't worry about what I did in the Army.
You put that behind you?
Yeah, I had a lot of problems at home.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, my mother, I had to take care of my mother. My mother was getting older, and Sally was, I kept an eye on Sally because she got a little fisted with that particular girl.
So you picked up right where you left off?
Yeah.
So it was easy to make the transformation back to civilian life for you?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, tell us why not.
Well, because it was, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the military life.
What was the hardest thing to transition back to civilian life?
Back to civilian life?
What was it?
Looking for a stupid job.
And where did you look for a job at?
Unemployment office. I go once a week, sign in, put you on the TV, see here's a job here. So they got a job with me with my uncle, Corsdale's, and I lasted there for about a year. And then I got into Kimberly-Clark.
How did you find a job at Kimberly-Clark?
Huh?
How did you find the job at Kimberly-Clark?
To the unemployment office.
Okay. And what did you start as in the Kimberly-Clark? What type of work?
I started with little Thomas right now.
What's that?
Fifth hand.
What's it called?
Fifth hand. He picks up all the paper, does all the odd jobs, gets the coffee for the clowns and everything else.
I understand. And when you got out of the service, did you ever contact your former girlfriends, Ann, Jean, or Renee?
No.
You had no interest in doing that?
Well, I figured when I left, I left.
There was no looking back?
Well, no. And then I hooked up with Delphine, remember?
Yeah, but that was a couple years later, right?
Yeah, well, that was at a dance, yeah.
Well, tell us how that happened. I was curious to know.
Well, I was driving, this was Saturday night about 8 o'clock. I was driving, I was getting ready to go home. And they had a dance hall across the street. They had music. I said, I'll go up there and see what's going on. I paid $25 to get in, and I run into Delphine, Agnes, and Rosalie. So
your Delphine was with two other girlfriends?
Yeah, so I danced with all three of them. Then I had to go that coffee shop, and had to take me over for coffee and donuts, and they all lived on separate ends of Buffalo.
Do you remember the name of the coffee shop?
White House. And
so you had, on your first time you met Delphine, you had two other girlfriends.
Rosalie and Agnes, yeah. Agnes was an older lady.
How'd you know the other two weren't for you and Delphine was?
The what?
How'd you know the other two girls weren't for you, but Delphine was. You just met them. How'd you know Delphine was the one that you'd be going with and not the two others?
Well, I had, there was Agnes, Rosalie, and Delphine. And I chose Delphine.
I see. And
Rosalie was sickly. I don't want to get involved with that. And I had attraction for Delphine.
so it was an instant attraction.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And did Delphine feel the same way about you?
After a while, yeah.
How long after a while? How long after a while?
Well, she was kind of shy. She didn't want to make anything permanent. So don't forget she was only 18, 19 years old then.
And how old were you?
I was 20, 21.
I see. And did Delphine live close to your home?
She lived in Buffalo.
And how many miles was that from your house?
That was 23 miles.
Well, it's certainly easier than the time you were seeing Renee in Paris, where you'd have to take a bus, a train, and a taxi to see Renee.
Yeah.
So this was pretty easy.
Yeah.
This is pretty. And what kind of things did you do with Delphine when you first started dating her?
What did I do?
Yeah, what kind of things did you do? Go ice skating?
Well, we did. We went to. She went with my mother Tuesday for the dish. So the other times I wouldn't go to the show. I wouldn't go to the movies with her. No. So we would go out. I drive her to Youngstown. I drive her to Buffalo. We'll go shopping in Buffalo.
Did you get along well with Delphine's mother and father?
No.
Why?
Well, they were a different type. They weren't interested in that.
Did they speak Polish at home?
I imagine so, but they spoke local English.
How about, did Delphine have any brothers or sisters?
She had a brother and a sister.
And did you meet them?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get along fine with them?
Well, the brother worked with the father, and the sister was, where she worked? She worked at a bank.
Where?
Bank.
Okay. Did you get along with them?
Huh?
Did you get along with them?
Oh, yeah, but I didn't meet him that. I didn't meet him. I didn't stay with him that much.
So how many years were you with Delphine before you got married?
I would say about a year.
And you said initially in your book that your mother would never accept Anne, Renee, or anyone else you brought home. How'd your mother?
Well, I didn't bring too many girls back home.
No, but you said the girlfriends you had, Anne, Jean, and Renee, you said your mother would never accept them.
Well, Rosalie she wouldn't accept, though.
But how did your mother accept Delphine?
Well, Delphine was just Delphine, sweetheart.
They got along well.
Yeah, she was a sweetheart, yeah.
When you got married to Delphine, was your wife a good cook?
No, terrible.
Did Delphine's mother?
I knew she was a cook, so I told Mom, I said, get a hold of Delphine, teach her how to cook.
Why'd you know she wasn't a cook?
Huh?
Why'd you know she wasn't a good cook?
Because we never talked about it. I said, do you cook at home? She said, no, I don't cook at home. Well, the mother never taught her. She was kind of a outcast in that school, in that family too.
Okay.
What's her name? Jean, his older sister, was a big dog. She worked in Washington and everything else. Yeah.
Okay, so Delphine learned how to cook by your mother.
Yeah.
And did she do well after that?
No, she learned well. She learned well.
When you met Delphine, was she driving a car?
No, I teach her how to drive.
And what kind of car did you teach her on?
In a Volkswagen.
A Volkswagen Beetle?
She had a shift and everything.
A big, tall shift lever on the floor?
Yeah.
And how'd she take to that?
Well, she's grinding the gears all the time.
Were you teaching her in the snow or in the summertime?
I thought winter time when there wasn't cold. I take her to Hyde Park, the golf course there, and there was a big tennis court there. And at winter time that was closed up, so that was a big open space they could drive there. I wouldn't take her out in the street.
So after you taught her to drive, how many months was it before she took her driving test to get a license?
Oh, after she drove with me, and then she got her license. But maybe a month. She passed the test and she got her license.
She passed it first time around?
Yeah.
When she got her license, did she drive to her mother's house many a time?
No.
Never?
We were going to see Uncle Stevie in Pittsburgh, and Sally got sick. She was supposed to drive. They had Volkswagens. And I said, well, Delta, you're going to have to drive. And she never drove that distance. And she's shifting and everything else.
How'd she do?
It did good, yeah.
Was it winter?
It was winter. Luckily, there was no snow or ice or nothing.
Did your brother live up in the mountains of Pennsylvania?
No, Pittsburgh. No, I lived in the city.
It was flat land?
Huh?
It was flat land?
No. Pittsburgh is hilly.
And
They had that
slippery.
stupid brick on the streets.
And slippery.
And slippery. At night, the wintertime was slippery.
When you got there to visit your brother, that's your oldest brother, Steve, right?
Yeah.
Was he married at the time?
No. He passed away early.
Okay. And how long do you usually stay when you visit your brother?
Well, a weekend. Well, I did work for him.
Like what kind of work did you do for your
Put
brother?
electrical work, put this in, what's the name? Billy could hear the doorbell, so I had to put a doorbell next to her bedroom. And I did some lawn work. I did some irrigation system for the lawn, and that he was using a hose to water, and I put the system in.
Where was that at?
Pittsburgh.
And did he help you with these jobs?
No.
Did his wife Millie help you with these jobs?
Well, no. I would go with her, and they didn't carry money. They carried checks.
Huh.
I don't know why, but they never carried money. They always carried checks.
And you go to like the hardware store and buy supplies.
Yeah.
But would Millie help you get the parts and run the errands with you and things like that?
Yeah. Well, she was helpful because it was for her.
Oh, okay. Did you work on your other brother's house too, Lookie's?
Yeah, I worked in the basement with him. I went down there. I did some wiring for him, and I did some cement work down in the basement. Yeah.
So you did a lot of cement work during your lifetime.
Yeah.
Did you mix the cement by hand?
Well, a sidewalk, I'd get the Empire come down and drop a yard. And then I didn't do too many small jobs.
Mostly bigger jobs.
Yeah, well, I couldn't. I had a cement mixer, but I didn't use it.
Where'd you
mix
find
the sand and the cement.
Where'd you find to buy a cement mixer at?
Where did I buy it?
Yeah.
Tyson.
That looks like a heavy machine.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you do with it?
Left it in the garage.
Oh, it's still there now, probably.
No, that's probably rusted up and everything else.
Minutes?
48 seconds.
Uh-huh. So you did all types of handyman work.
What?
You did all types of handyman work.
What kind?
Handyman work. You did lots of different work.
Yeah.
Did you like the woodworking the best?
Yeah.
The wood baking?
Well, I did all our trim upstairs and downstairs. I sanded it all down and shellacked it.
And it's still there today.
I don't know.
It's still there today.
Yeah.
Seconds?
20. 13.
Yeah, you did a wonderful job there. They'll be there for many, many years to come. Was your brother good at woodwork? Was Steve good at woodwork?